that we should not take sides in this war by becoming a combatant. And we have held firmly to that position, and we plan to continue to hold firmly to that position.
By the time U.S. Secretary of Defense William Mpri testified before Congress in June of 1995 that the U.S. was not taking sides in the Yugoslav conflict, a full range of secret military assistance operations to the Croatian government and Bosnian Muslim forces were already underway. At a remote airfield high in the mountains of the Croatian island of Brač, American intelligence operatives assembled the unmanned aviation vehicles, known as UAVs, for reconnaissance, while Croatian soldiers guarded the airport gates.
It was known within the UAV community who they were and where they were flying. When you suddenly ran into roadblocks and couldn't get information anymore, you knew it was the Tier 1 CIA guys that were operating. You could look at truck traffic, you could identify the types of artillery, the types of tanks, their movement. With this kind of information, you could literally analyze to extremely small detail the tactical capability of a force.
Only 1 month before Defense Secretary William Mpri testified that the U.S. was not taking sides, a predominantly Serbian civilian area, supposedly under UN protection, was suddenly attacked by Croatian forces. Several UN soldiers were killed in what turned out to be a massacre of the Serbian civilian population of Sector West. Thousands of Serbian refugees fled across the Sava River from Croatia into northern Bosnia. Croatian sources put the number of Serbs killed in the attack at 1,000. Serbian Orthodox Church officials stated that 5,000 civilians were killed. But there was no criticism of this atrocity by American officials, including the killing of UN soldiers, because the U.S. was deeply involved in assisting the Croatian military. Efforts by British and French representatives on the UN Security Council to place sanctions against Croatia were repeatedly blocked by America's UN representative, Madeleine Albright. 6 months earlier, in November of 1994, the U.S. Departments of State and Defense had approved a contract between a group of retired four-star generals and the Croatian government.
The Croats paid for it, but they were authorized by the Pentagon.
I had constant reports of American officers who were, quote, retired, no longer in active duty, acting as advisors to the Bosnian government's military, acting as advisors to the Croatian military, and they were very active on the ground.
The retired generals, described as high-level mercenaries, belonged to a private company known as Military Professional Resources Incorporated, or MPRI. MPRI included such luminaries as Lieutenant General Ed Soyster, former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Major General Richard Griffiths, Deputy Chief of Operations in Central Europe, and most importantly, Karl Vono. General Vono and his colleagues at MPRI would be a major asset to the Croatian army in its efforts to forcibly expel the ethnic Serbian population from the Krajina, which was technically under UN protection in sectors north and south. On August 1st, 1995, Croatian troops launched a massive assault on the Serbian population of the Krajina, sectors north and south.
It was an operation of about 100,000 Croatian military, yes. Tanks, planes, artillery, the works.
While officially denying any involvement in what the Croatians called Operation Storm, American forces were actively supporting this bloody operation of ethnic cleansing.
American equipment was used to jam Serbian communications at a critical moment so that command and control, at least in the communications sector, was blocked. And then there was a documented pair of raids on Serbian Krajina military facilities by U.S. Navy planes flying out of Aviano, which knocked out radar and other facilities.
The shelling of Kanin was a deliberate terror bombardment meant to hasten the departure of the remaining Serbs, and it was, committed against an unarmed populace. They had street cleaners coming in and removing any evidence of the murders or the vandals, and before they brought the cameras in to show the triumphant return of the Croats into Krajini. So it was all very carefully planned.
Having denounced ethnic cleansing, American military planners helped Croatia carry out the largest ethnic cleansing of the war up to that point.
It would appear to be the largest single incident. If you count people affected in the first few days, it was 170,000 people.
That number quickly grew to 200,000 as a river of humanity clogged the roads. Recently retired U.S. General Charles Boyd, Deputy Commander of NATO, confirmed that the U.S. helped plan and implement the attack.
Croatia would not have taken its military offensives that it has taken either in Sector West or throughout North and South, throughout the Krajini, without explicit approval of the U.S. government.
Roger Cohen of the New York Times quoted a Croatian military journalist who confirmed that General Vono of MPRI met with his Croatian counterpart repeatedly in the days preceding Operation Storm.
The tactics that they employed when they attack into the Krajini was exactly the same tactics that were used during Desert Storm. They were American doctrine, attacking on many fronts with lightning-type attacks. And interestingly enough, the Croatian attack was called not Desert Storm, it was called Storm.
The way they deploy and employ their forces is a direct reflection of that training. So it's been very effective, and it's been very much a part of the official U.S. policy.
It was controversial among legal experts from the outside because it was set up under the UN Security Council, where permanent members such as the US, England, and Russia could use their veto power to block investigations of their own military activities or those of their client states.
An international court, illegal in its conception. The Security Council has no authority under the UN Charter to create a criminal court. There would never been a UN if it had tried to establish that authority, because none of the powers in World War II would have abided by it for a moment.
But the United States, in its endeavor, because it was the country that pushed for the establishment of the tribunal. Madeleine Albright, then Ambassador Albright, was the single person most responsible, without any question, for the setting up, for the establishment of the tribunal.
Madeleine Albright, who would soon become U.S. Secretary of State, had repeatedly used the threat of a veto in the UN Security Council to block resolutions condemning Muslim and Croat atrocities.
I think it's clear that Madeleine Albright has not been impartial in her treatment of this war. She's been extremely one-sided, and in fact, so too have a number of people within the U.S. administration.
It's very clear that the United States was taking sides, that it was attempting to punish and criticize Serbs in Croatia and in Bosnia for activities that it did not punish Croats for.
There have been complaints on the Serb side that we were less efficient in investigating war crimes committed against Serbs, which undoubtedly happened.
But critics say that the War Crimes Tribunal failed to investigate well-documented reports by both the Yugoslav State Commission on War Crimes and independent human rights groups.
They've put an excessive emphasis on crimes against the Muslims and have been less willing than they should have been to accept evidence coming in from the Serbian side of atrocities against the Serbs.
In the eyes of some experts in international law, the tribunal used a double standard when it indicted Bosnian Serb leaders Radovan Karadzic and General Ratko Mladic for abuses committed by soldiers in the field, while failing to hold Muslim and Croat leaders, such as Alija Izetbegovic and Franjo Tudjman, accountable for similar abuses by soldiers under their command. In its first 4 years of existence, the ad hoc tribunal did little to prosecute well-documented atrocities by Muslim and Croat forces. No indictments were issued for Tomislav Merčep and Branimir Glavaš, who had been identified by Croatian police reports as leaders of death squads. Merčep serves as mayor of Vukovar, and Glavaš became the mayor of Osijek. Nasser Oric, the Muslim paramilitary leader who initiated the cycle of violence and retribution around Srebrenica, now runs a disco in Tuzla. In March of 1999, Investigators for the tribunal recommended indictments for 3 generals who, 4 years earlier, had planned the bloody Operation Storm. But no indictments were issued against the American generals who advised them. According to New York Times reporter Raymond Bonner, the Pentagon refused to provide crucial evidence, aerial photos related to the targeting of Serbian civilians in the town of Knin. And no indictment was announced by the tribunal against the man who conducted the bloody artillery barrage against civilians in Operation Storm, General Agim Ceku, an ethnic Albanian who had served the Croatian army as commander of artillery. Ceku, who was linked to other bloody massacres in Krajina, would soon take a leading role in a new conflict, a war in the Serbian province of Kosovo.